Chapter 80. His room, or rooms, were in another forgotten sub-basement 3 levels above the forgotten basement we emerged from. He slid back a steel door. I expected his room to be lined with books. It was lined with video monitors, computers, and radio scanners. "Welcome to Shadow Pod Central," he said. Kate took off her shades and stared at the screens. I recognized one of the screens. It was the camera over the compound entrance. People were coming and going. They looked panicked. "You've hacked into the pod surveillance system," she said. "Not all the cameras, but most of them, and the motion detectors. But what's been the most useful over the years are the radio communications. You kind of messed that up for me today when you tore that antenna out. I managed to fix it, but—" "You fixed the antenna?" Kate said. "How else was I going to monitor things? You probably know that Laud has tracking chips on those radios." Kate nodded. "I've hacked into those too. How do you think I knew you were coming to the reservoir all these years? I'm not a psychic." "Or a ghost," I said. "What?" "Never mind," Kate said. "Without the radios, I wouldn't have known that the monster man and his dog were going to show up at that reservoir. He got down there just after me. I had to slip into one of my hidey holes." "Hidey holes?" Kate said. "I have them all over the place, and I always know where the closest one is in case I run into someone. How else could I survive down there all these years?" Kate turned to me and smiled. "Poof," she said. "Something like that. Anyway, when you put the radios on the dog, I knew you'd come to the reservoir. I still feel bad about that rot, but—" He opened a drawer and pulled out 2 radios. Kate grabbed them. "Angie is here?" "Down the street. No dogs allowed in the library. They must have seen her run by with the radios on her collar, but couldn't grab her." "How did you catch her?" Coop asked. "I had a friend pick her up when she got above, but we'll get to that in a minute." He motioned us into another room, which turned out to be a kitchen. Sitting on the table next to the oven were 3 well-used backpacks. "Laud is going to come after you. You need to get out of the city tonight. I've put together a kit for each of you: clothes, food, toiletry items." He looked at me. "You can't return to your hotel. There are a couple of shadows waiting there for you." He looked at Coop. "You can't go home, and neither can Pat. Laud knows where you live. He knows everything about you." He unzipped a side pocket and pulled out an iPhone. "There's one for each of you, set up under bogus names, and you have unlimited everything on them. There are 4 numbers in the address book. Each other's," he pulled an iPhone out of his back pocket, "and mine. Do not, and I mean do not, under any circumstances, call anyone else you've ever known or any governmental organization on these phones, ever. That little room the originals and the Laud go into is filled with the most sophisticated computer equipment money can buy. In the old days, he broke into buildings by picking locks and breaking windows. He does it electronically now, and he and the originals are masters at this. If you call your house and talk to your parents from a landline, he'll have your number and know where you are in seconds. The same thing for their cell phones." He looked at his watch. "I'm going to have to hurry through the rest of this. When you get a chance, you need to change your appearance. Cut your hair, dye it, maybe buy some fake sunglasses. You can figure out when you get someplace safe. My point is that all of you need to stay off the grid until I tell you that you're safe. Laud has people everywhere." "Where should we go?" Coop asked. "Newark Airport in Jersey shut down tonight because of weather. There are about 5,000 angry holiday travelers stranded there. They aren't going to notice 3 more kids with backpacks. I want you to go there in separate taxis. Spend the night. In the morning, get on a bus and go to the train station. You can't fly because you'll have to show ID, but you can always get on a train. When you're on the train or bus or however you're going to get around, don't get on them together. Don't sit together. Don't talk to each other. Don't get off with each other. Laud's people are going to be looking for 3 kids. If you check into a hotel, pay cash, and don't check in together." He looked at Coop. "There's one stop I want you to make before you disappear." "Where?" "The FBI. I understand you have a friend there?" I looked at Coop, expecting him to say that he didn't have a friend in the FBI. "I do," he said. "Laud is up to something big, and that means bad. You need to write down everything that's happened and give it to her, but not personally. In each backpack is a laptop. Put the information on a flash drive." He looked at me. "Do you still have that disposable cell phone you bought?" "How do you know I bought a cell phone? Do you have it?" "Yeah." The only way he could have known this if he'd been following me up top. When you get to D.C., Coop's going to make one call on it, make it short, and then destroy the phone. Why didn't we just call her right now? Coop said. We can put an end to this. They'll raid the deep, find the mushrooms. The librarian shook his head. This isn't about growing mushrooms, and they aren't going to do anything on Christmas or Sunday. Even your friend is in holiday mode. You need to talk to her when she's back at work. As soon as you do, you need to get as far away from D.C. as you can. None of you will be safe until they have Laud and his people in custody. Even then, you might not be safe. How did you know I knew someone in the FBI? I know all about you. I've been checking into your background since the moment I met you. Belated happy birthday, by the way. And if I can find out that much about you, you can bet that Laud knows even more. I'm a rank amateur compared to him. Why did you check me out? The librarian shrugged. A hunch, he said. A strong feeling that you had something to do with this, that you were going to change everything. I can't explain it better than that. I don't understand it myself. He looked at his watch again.